30 rarest devil fruits in one piece. Starting off with the rumble fruit, a Logia-type devil fruit that gives whoever eats it the power to create, control, and turn into electricity. Since it's a Logia, this thing is extremely rare. But it isn't just a Logia, it's one that's said to be invincible. The destructive power alone makes this fruit top tier, with the ability to release up to 200 million volts of electricity. But this fruit isn't just meant for causing havoc, since it has tons of other abilities, like moving at light speed, controlling metals, and even restarting the user's heart, cheating death. Let's just say the One Piece universe is lucky the guy who ate this fruit is stuck on the moon. Unfortunately, we still gotta worry about the darkness fruit, a devil fruit that's so rare, Blackbeard killed his own crewmate for it. What power could be worth murdering your own friend? Well, the power to become a walking black hole. That's right, this fruit lets the user suck in anything, even entire villages, into their body. But that isn't even what makes this fruit so rare. See, the darkness fruit is known for its ability to cancel out any devil fruit power, and that's exactly what makes this fruit so valuable, since it's the only devil fruit with this power. Blackbeard really lucked out by getting his hands on the darkness fruit. But this man decided that wasn't enough, because he ended up taking another one of the rarest devil fruits, the quake fruit. This fruit basically turns whoever eats it into a walking natural disaster. From earthquakes to tsunamis, the quake fruit is the definition of destruction. If you still don't believe how powerful this fruit is, just take a look at who uses it. This fruit was originally Whitebeard's, the Yonko who was known as the strongest man on Earth. And right after his death, Blackbeard took the fruit and immediately became a Yonko in Whitebeard's place. So basically, this is a fruit that can automatically give someone Yonko level strength. Now these fruits are insanely strong, but watch until the end of this video to learn about some insane fruits that make these look mid. And pirates aren't the only ones with rare devil fruits, because the Marines also have some heavy hitters, like Fleet Admiral Akainu, who has the magma fruit, the most destructive Logia we've seen so far. I mean, this is the fruit that permanently turned half of an island into a volcanic wasteland. And the Akainu doesn't even need to attack you to show off his power. Since this fruit literally turns him into magma, you'll get disfigured if you even try to touch this dude. It's no wonder Akainu claimed all the way to the top of the Marines with a fruit like this. Next up, we have the devil fruit that used to be a world noble treasure. I'm talking about the fish fruit, model Azure Dragon. It's described as the strongest class of devil fruit, so it makes sense that Kaido, the strongest creature alive, was the one to eat it. And that's not just an empty title, because this fruit turns Kaido into a mythical dragon that can summon flame clouds, allowing the user to fly or even lift an entire island in the air. Now, of course, there's also the same fire breathing that comes with every dragon. But fire isn't the only element Kaido can control, since he can create lightning bolts, wind blades, and even tornadoes. So yeah, it makes sense that the world nobles didn't want to let this fruit go. Too bad they didn't only lose one valuable fruit, they lost two. The other fruit was the paw fruit, which was stolen by Kuma, and since this dude has gone full robot, the world nobles have no chance of ever getting it back. Now you're probably wondering, how can a fruit that gives the user cute little paws on their hands be just as valuable as a fruit that turns you into a dragon? Well, these aren't just paws. These paws can send all things flying, and when I say all things, I mean all things. Sending any attack thrown at you flying? Yup. Send yourself flying across the world so fast it looks like you're teleporting? Check. Sending people's pain, illness, or even memories flying? You betcha. Dang, the paw fruit has it all. The only thing it doesn't have is the ability to save lives. But that's where the Ope Ope no Mi comes in. Just look at Law. This kid was about to die from a fatal disease, but after eating this fruit, he was good as new. And that's not all. This fruit allows the user to make someone else immortal in exchange for their own life, which is exactly why they put a $5 billion bounty on it. Dang, this thing's almost worth as much as Roger. Now, while the Ope Ope no Mi's powers revolve around life, the Yomi Yomi no Mi is all about death. I mean, it literally doesn't do anything until you die. But once you do, it gives you a second chance at life no matter what condition your body is in. And in Brook's case, it makes him immortal since he returned to life as a skeleton. So technically, you could say this is the rarest devil fruit, because it'll never return to circulation with an immortal user. But that's a lame way to rank it, so you'll just have to wait until the end of this video for the rarest devil fruit. Next, we have the snow fruit, which obviously lets the user control snow. Because it's a Logia, it's super rare. And since the user Monet died, the fruit is back in circulation, meaning we might see this fruit make a comeback. However, due to the rarity of Logias, it's not very likely to happen. But the most interesting part about this fruit is actually that it's a weaker version of another Logia, the ice fruit. This thing is basically the snow fruit on steroids. It allows the user to turn into ice, making them invisible and freezing anyone who tries to touch them. And if you think you could just melt this ice, you're sorely mistaken, because the user of this fruit fought Akainu and his magma fruit for 10 days, leading to half of the island they fought on turning into an iceberg. When you compare this to the snow fruit that gets destroyed by a little heat, the ice fruit is just a different beast. But so is the Okachi no Makami fruit, a mythical zoan that also has ice powers. This fruit turns the user into a legendary wolf known as the Guardian of Wano. And like the name suggests, it never left the country. And since Wano's closed off from the rest of the world, this fruit is extremely rare, even by mythical zoan standards. Other than the transformation, the user can create and control ice. Now this isn't on the same level as the ice fruit, which can freeze oceans, but the physical abilities of a mythical wolf more than make up for it. And it also makes the snow fruit look like trash. Now the ice and snow fruits aren't the only fruits that are related, since the magma fruit also has a weaker version of itself. I'm talking about the flame fruit, Ace's devil fruit, which later went to Sabo. Even though it's weaker than the magma fruit, this thing is still super powerful. I mean, when Doflamingo put this thing up as a tournament prize, people from across the entire world came to fight. And it's no wonder when you look at what this thing could do. From invincibility to flying at high speeds to offensive power, this is one of the most versatile fruits in the entire series. The only weakness this fruit has is the magma fruit, and we saw what happened the last time these fruits went against each other. Next we have the Hebi Hebi no Mi model Yamata no Orochi. It's a mythical zoan that lets the user turn into an 8-headed hydra. I know this sounds awesome, but don't get your hopes up, because the user of this fruit sucks. This is Orochi, a weakling who is blessed with an ultra rare devil fruit. Throughout the entire Wano arc, this dude only showed off one ability, the power to survive decapitation. Since he has 8 heads, he can't die until all 8 of them are cut off. But it's pretty embarrassing that the only ability this guy used was the ability to keep getting his butt kicked. Now, unlike the last one, the sand fruit found a user that actually knows how to use it. Because as soon as Crocodile got his sand powers, he settled down in a desert where he can use the entire island as a weapon. And you can't forget about Crocodile's power to drain his enemies, turning them into raisins. The only weakness this fruit has are liquids, which Luffy figured out and, well, but this next Logia doesn't have any weaknesses. I'm talking about Kizaru's light fruit. It literally turns him into light, so you can just guess how fast this dude is. Pair that with his ultra powerful lasers and you have a fruit that's super strong and basically invincible. Oh yeah, he can also create lightsabers. Yeah, a devil fruit this cool has to be Admiral level. And while we're talking about Admiral fruits, we gotta talk about Ryokugyu's fruit, because he ate the Mori Mori no Mi, allowing him to turn into, create, and control plants. He's basically a walking forest. Ryokugyu can also create life around him, so wherever he is, he can create the perfect battlefield. And if you think you can just start a forest fire, you're sorely mistaken, since the user can train themselves to build an immunity to fire. Crocodile should really take a page out of Ryokugyu's book. But when it comes to the admirals, Fujitora and his Zushi no Mi take the cake for the coolest devil fruit. With this fruit, Fujitora can control gravity. Even though he's the only admiral without a Logia, his ability is so strong that it doesn't even matter. His control over gravity basically gives him telekinesis, allowing him to send anything around him flying at his enemies. But the best ability has to be the power to summon meteors. Honestly, forget admirals. Fujitora might have the coolest fruit in the entire series. And speaking of cool fruits, I think we found the most terrifying fruit of the entire series. I'm talking about the nine-tailed fox fruit, of course. It lets whoever eats it use the powers of the nine-tailed fox, giving them the ability to perfectly replicate whoever they touch down to the clothes. Because of this, there are constant theories that some of the people we see are actually the user of this fruit in costume. As if the One Piece theorists weren't already crazy enough. Now, while mythical zoans are the rarest class of devil fruit, there are paramecias like the gravity and quake fruits with powers that make them just as valuable. And adding to that list is Big Mom's soul fruit, which, as you can probably guess, lets her control people's souls. Using this power, Big Mom rules her island with an iron fist, taking pieces of her resident souls as a tax. If she wants to go all out, she can take her enemy's entire soul, basically killing them instantly. Anyone with even a teeny bit of fear towards the user won't be able to do anything against this power. And since a Yonko ate this fruit, let's just say there's very few people who can resist this. But the next devil fruit was eaten by Fleet Commander of the Marines, so you know it has to be super rare. I'm talking about Sengoku and his Daibutsu fruit, which turns him into a giant golden Buddha. Even though we've only seen Sengoku use normal punches and palm strikes with this fruit, its pure size and strength more than makes up for the lack of moves. Now let's talk about everyone's favorite mythical Zoan, the Phoenix fruit. It was eaten by Marco, and it gave him the powers to become a fan favorite. It makes sense when you see how cool he looks with his blue flames. But these aren't your average flames. These are the blue flames of resurrection. They don't burn and spread like normal fire, but compared to Ace's flames, they have much more attack power. On the other hand, the blue flames also have healing properties, letting Marco regenerate faster than people can even damage him. And he can do all of this without even transforming into his Phoenix form. Man, these mythical Zoans are on another level. But there's a different type of Zoan that's more rare than the mythical fruits. I'm talking about the ancient Zoans, which let you turn into animals that are extinct. As you can probably expect, most of them are dinosaurs. And in the One Piece universe, becoming a dinosaur is overpowered. Apparently, pteranodons could use their head as a slingshot, a brachiosaurus could separate their head and tail from the rest of their bodies, and triceratops use their neck as a helicopter. They could really do those things without a devil fruit. So of course, whoever eats the dinosaur fruit will also get those powers, on top of insane durability. But the most durable ancient Zoan has to be Jack's mammoth fruit. As you can probably guess, it turns the user into a giant woolly mammoth. And its powers are boosted by the fact that Jack is already a giant fish man, so when he transforms, he becomes insanely huge. Unfortunately, compared to Zunisha, Jack looks tiny. Now we have the saber-toothed tiger fruit, the strongest ancient Zoan when it comes to offense. That's all due to the properties of a saber-toothed tiger, with its sharp teeth and enormous claws. These powers let Who's Who climb to the highest ranks of both the government and Kaido's crew. It's too bad we didn't get to see much of this fruit in action, since Jinbei straight up embarrassed the dude in Wano. And next we have the coolest ancient Zoan in the whole series. I'm talking about the... Yeah, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that one. Ridiculous name aside, all you have to know about this fruit is that it turns the user into a poisonous spider. The scariest part is they don't get tiny, they stay the same size. Human-sized spiders? This fruit is an arachnophobe's nightmare. And in Black Mariah's case, she becomes a humongous spider. With the ability to trap her enemies in her indestructible webs, she treats people like a spider treats bugs, trapping them and slowly killing them with poison. That's just brutal. Man, ancient Zoans really are powerful. It's unfortunate that Kaido's crew basically has a monopoly on them. But enough about Zoans. Let's talk about the smoke fruit, the first Logia we saw in One Piece. Since Luffy went against this fruit so early, he couldn't do anything. It's kind of crazy how Smoker seemed invincible back then, but now he seems like a total noob. Cause ever since Luffy learned Haki, the smoke fruit became no problem. Probably cause it's just the weaker version of the gas fruit. Instead of just controlling smoke, this fruit controls all gases. And since oxygen is a gas, the user can literally get rid of all the oxygen in a certain area, making it almost impossible to fight them. On top of that, it's a Logia that lets you turn into gas, giving you unlimited ways to get around. In Caesar's case, this means stuffing yourself into a flask. Next up is the Toki Toki no Mi, the devil fruit with the most insane power we've seen so far, time travel. While it can only be used to time travel to the future, this is still an absolutely broken ability, since whenever you're in trouble, you can just instantly time travel. Take the previous user Toki for instance. She was alive hundreds of years before the story, but since she used this power so much, she didn't die until about 20 years before the story. That means this fruit was out of the picture for centuries. And the fact that we still haven't seen anyone with this fruit 20 years after Toki's death speaks for the rarity of this fruit. Moving on to the mythical Pegasus fruit. Even though this fruit sounds awesome, don't get your hopes up, cause a horse ended up eating this fruit. So instead of transforming, it just grows wings. So basically, if this horse ate a normal bird devil fruit, it would be way more useful than the ultra rare mythical Zoan that it has. That's just ironic. Now we have the rarest fruit in all of One Piece, the human fruit Model Nika. Of course, this is Luffy's devil fruit, and who better than the main character to have the #1 rarest fruit? The thing that makes this fruit so rare is the fact that it has a will of its own. I mean, despite the world government's best efforts, they haven't been able to get the fruit in 800 years. That's because the fruit has the powers of sun god Nika, the warrior of liberation. It looks like the fruit willed itself away from being eaten until finding the perfect user. And when you see Luffy using his awakened powers, it's obvious that this dude was born to use the powers of this fruit. With a rubber body and the ability to turn your surroundings into rubber, it lets the user take any form. And in Luffy's case, that means straight up changing the show from an anime into a cartoon. Since it's the only fruit to switch the whole genre of One Piece, it just has to be number one. And I bet you didn't know that Luffy almost didn't get this fruit. He was supposed to get the Love fruit. That's just one of 21 secrets we found in this video. Click it!